Hey y'all, I'm Kaezlo. As you can see here, we spent some time in the day before over this weekend. And my one statement to anybody who asked was do not buy this game unless you have the disposable income to possibly buy a game that will go away. That said, the gameplay was not terrible. The game was not terrible. The reviews were. The idea that they swapped out the MMO survival open world for a survival open world extraction shooter. And survival, I use that very loosely because when we come to think of survival, we think of Ark, we think of Scum, we think of games that actually require you to build things and survive. This game, the day before, however, was not that title. This game was released as an extraction shooter in the vein of the Dark area in what's that game? The Division, and a little bit of Tarkov, right? And with that said, the gunplay in this was a little bit janky the first day, but I will admit that the first couple patches they released actually cleaned this up a little bit. And so I was willing to look at this game as a potential diamond in the rough. That was until this morning. What happened this morning? Well, Fntastic Games made a tweet, and they made a bad tweet. Yes, they made a bad tweet. What was that tweet? Well, let's get into it, right? So, Fntastic Games, or Fntastic HQ, or whatever it is, Fntastic Studio, I believe is the term they call themselves. Today, we announced the closure of Fntastic Studio. Unfortunately, the day before has failed financially, and we lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay off the debt to our partners. We invested all our efforts, resources, and man-hours into development of the day before, which was our first huge game. We really wanted to release new patches to reveal the full potential of the game, but unfortunately we do not have the funding to continue work. Now, they say they invested all of their money into the development of the game, which is hard to believe when throughout the entirety of the development of the game, we kept hearing about volunteers. And volunteers, if you're familiar with how Fntastic has run their studios, don't get paid. They volunteer to help on the game and make a game exist. And so by disbanding Fntastic Studio, that leaves Myopa Fntastic, or whoever the publisher is, Mytona Fntastic, to guess reap all the rewards. And yeah, they said they're going to keep the servers up for profit. Well, let's continue. It's important to note that we didn't take any money from the public during the development of the day before. There were no pre-orders or crowdfunding campaigns. We worked tirelessly for 5 years, pouring our blood, sweat, and tears into the game. I will tell you from playing this game, I do not see 5 years worth of development. I don't. Moving on. At the moment, the future of the day before and prop night is unknown, but the servers will remain operational. What they're telling you here is they're saying, don't worry, the games may still exist just because the company is rolling up. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't believe them. Don't believe them. They literally came out and attacked every single person who said this game was a scam during and leading up to release of this game on the 7th, only to close the developer on the 11th because of financial viability after they just raked in millions of dollars from a one-off release that was not what they said it was going to be. They lied to every single person who purchased this game. And the people who bought it after watching streamers bought it because the game was not completely terrible. There is a gameplay loop there. There is something to do there, but it is not what was promised to gamers. It was not the game that we paid for. We were scammed. 100% we were scammed. Do not buy this game. Anyways, we apologize if we didn't meet your expectations. You didn't even fucking try. We did everything within our power, but unfortunately, we miscalculated our abilities. Did you? Or did you just try to throw shit into a box and hope that you could sell it without people opening the box? Kind of like the Schrodinger's box thing, is it there or is it not there? Is it a good game or is it a bad game? You got to pay for the game to find out. That seems really bad. If you listen to everybody that was saying it was a scam, you didn't get scammed. But if you decided, you said, hey, this game has some potential, maybe we'll give it a shot, you got scammed as well because they shut down the studio as of today, Monday, December 11th. So from 7 to 11, this game existed and now nobody knows. It's unknown. It's not unknown. They're just going to keep it on there and keep raking that money in to Myopic Fntastica, whatever the publisher's name is. I should probably look that up, but I don't care. They did a huge disservice to the gaming industry, and people will say that, yeah, it's because people buy these games that these companies get away with it. No, I disagree. It's because companies like Steam or Google or whoever the app platform management team is allows these games to exist, and they don't punish them for doing this kind of shit. This game was lauded as a scam from the get-go. Steam allowed it to release, and now they've allowed them to shut it down, and they're going to pay them out, and that money's going to go to the company that just fucked over the entirety of 35,000 people that enjoyed the Steam platform. Steam, Gabe, whoever, y'all need to do something about this. You need to shut this company down, you need to not pay them out, and you need to refund every single player that asks for it. Because this is criminal. The behavior of this developer, this publisher, this team is criminal. A bait and switch in any sense of the form in sales is fraud. It's a fraudulent attempt to get your money by giving you a product that you think you're getting and you get something completely different. That's not allowed. It's not allowed. And if it is, it's pretty shitty business. Creating games is an incredibly challenging endeavor. So it's incredibly challenging that they couldn't make the game they sold us. They couldn't make an MMO open world survivor shooter game. They had to create a semi-open world, semi-survival extraction shooter. Now, with that said, a zombie extraction shooter in this day and age could be genre defining. It really could be, because we don't really have one of those. At least not one that could be considered done well. Anywho, moving on. We are grateful to everyone who supported us during these difficult years. It's been a fantastic journey over the past 8 years. So in 2015, they opened the studio. 2017, they released The Wild 8. 2018, they released Dead Dozen. 2018, they also released The Radiant One. 2021, they released Prop Night. And 2023, they released The Day Before. And from the sounds of it, most of these games are probably already removed or have been forgotten on Steam. I do believe that some of these games were abandoned immediately after they were released. Prop Night's one of them. And so this isn't a new thing from the studio. It's actually a track record they have of releasing a game and then bouncing out, right? That said, like I said, the gameplay here isn't absolutely horrid. There was something here. There was a potential game that had they actually taken the time, put the developments into, give it a little bit TLC, and actually done the things that they said they did in all of their notices to the players, to the haters, then maybe this game wouldn't have been so terrible. If they hadn't bait switched the entirety of the Steam community who was playing this game and excited for an open world MMO survival shooter game, would still be playing this game had that been what it was, not Tarkov meets The Division. And because this game is Tarkov meets The Division, which, by the way, I think both of those games at points have tried to have the MMO tag. I know Division does. I think Division calls itself an MMO because you're playing with a bunch of people on a server. And so by that definition, this game loosely fits MMO. It does, loosely. Very loosely. Because I don't agree with the current definition of MMOs being that just because you're playing with 5 people on a server, you are in an MMO. That is not the case. Massive multiplayer online is massive multiplayer online, which means that you're playing with a massive amount of people. And for me, a massive amount of people is more than 36. That said, some people would argue that because there's 36 people, that's a massive amount of people for everyday gaming, right? If you're playing by yourself in single-player games, 35 other people is a massive amount of people, comparatively. And you can argue that, but I'm not going to. Yeah, fine. Okay. That said, this game, do not buy it. Do not attempt to look at it. Don't even think you're going to get your money's worth. I hit about a couple dozen hours in this game, and I knew what it was. I already was over 2 hours, and I said, fuck it, right? We dug in to see if maybe it got better. It didn't. It didn't get better. There was progression, even though people said there wasn't. But the progression was a fetch quest. Go find these 3 items in this little bubble on the map somewhere. And that was all it was. Repeat that from 5 different mission givers. Now, I can't say enough. This game has potential if somebody can somehow resurrect it or something. But at this point, the damage is done, and I don't think we're going to see a Hello Games comeback in the vein of No Man's Sky. I just don't think it's going to happen. And that's sad, because everybody who spent money on this game is probably going to get burned. So what I'm going to tell you is do your best, write a respectful letter to Steam, and request a refund because you did get scammed. You were misled, and they fraudulently told you that you were buying something you were not buying. And the 2-hour window on a game that had, especially on the first day of launch, had an impossible server situation where nobody could join the game. So you were stuck in the game for at least a half hour to probably an hour in some cases, maybe even the full 2 hours, trying to find a server to play. That burnt your time, and you were not able to verify what this gameplay was like. So your 2-hour window was gone. Now, I think in the situation like this, the 2-hour window should be waived, and the 14-day grace should be applied. So as long as you request a refund in the 14-day grace period for this game, you should be refunded, Steam. You should, because this was a controversial game, and the way it was done was incredibly fraudulent. And so, please, do right by your consumers, do right by your player base, and refund anybody that asks for a refund on this game. Doesn't matter how many hours they've invested in it, because this game was fraudulently released as something else. It was bait and switched, and the entirety of the community was unable to log in. And the tutorial missions, they took you back and forth obnoxiously long to milk some of that 2-hour time. Have you played the game? Play the game and see that they literally milk that opening. And by the time you actually get into the game, it takes you an hour and a half to get to an objective, walking, of course, to find out what the game is. And by the time you extract, you're almost at your 2-hour mark. So one extraction on this map is not enough to justify saying you can't refund this game. Because in about 2-hour window, you get into the game, you do the tutorials, you extract from the map maybe once if you're lucky. That is not enough to justify saying that a gameplay loop has been tested and tried and that they know what they're getting into. I don't believe that at all. Anywho, I'm Kaezlo. Make sure to tune in on twitch.tv/Kaezlo Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, sometimes Mondays and Tuesdays. This week we won't be doing a Monday and Tuesday stream probably. Possibly Monday, I doubt it though. We take Mondays as our dark day. But we do put stuff on YouTube on occasion. Usually it's stuff like this. Very rarely, more often than not, we'll put clips and stuff up. But we don't dump VODs and stuff over here. So anything coming here is usually coming in the form of live recordings or something that I felt was necessary to be pushed to this channel. Anyways, hit that follow, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, depending on whether you're watching here or if you go and check out the Twitch page. We absolutely appreciate all the support that we can get from y'all. And remember, the likes and the follows help us get out there into the algorithm. This game honestly was not a terrible game, but the handling of it was criminal. Anyways, have a good one. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, y'all.